Hello and welcome to the Drexel Free Thought Society weekly podcast. The Drexel Free Thought Society is proudly and happily the only secular organization at Drexel University. As the Free Thought Society, we try to promote a positive environment for atheist, agnostic, freethinkers. Try to support a community for people that just don't happen to believe in a God. We're also very welcoming. Anyone that does believe in a God is completely allowed. We don't discriminate against people. But if you do show up, expect your beliefs to be questioned. And that goes for people that don't believe in a God either. Or as well. However English works. My name is Dave McDevitt. I'm the president of this organization. And this week we are going to discuss the persecution of atheists. The persecution of non-believers. Why we're angry. Why we have a right to be angry. And probably some other completely off topics. Dante?
Vice President of the Drexel Free Thought Society here, Dante Henson, and I decided to choose this topic today because it's been a while since we've done anything based on atheism. Mostly because we were trying to show everyone that the Drexel Free Thought Society is not just about atheism, but it's mostly about, just free thinking. However, once in a while, I think it's good to throw in a bit of atheism in there, even though the term itself is just quite silly. You give a name to somebody who just doesn't believe in God. We might as well have names for people who don't collect stamps. But hey, I digress. It's a shame we don't have our other atheist here, Richard. Maybe he kind of lost the room or something. He probably didn't pay attention to the.
I tried messaging the whole group right before we started, and it's like, by the way, we're in a different room.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well,
we can hold our own. We've done it before. I guess we can tackle really why are atheists angry. Well, first off, I don't think most atheists are angry at all. I think a lot of atheists are closeted. For one, they're scared. They're scared that their friends and their family and society itself will reject them because we're talking about Americans here, just in case there's any international listeners. The United States of America, Christianity, and Islam are the two most prominent religions here. So almost everyone believes in God, although that's starting to decline a little bit. But still, it's very deeply ingrained into the various cultures that America has. So when one of us comes out and says, hey, I don't believe in God, everybody just lets out this huge gasp and they start, questioning like, well, why don't you believe in God? But they do it in such a very disparaging, nasty way. It scares people. And so when other atheists see this happening to another atheist, they just don't say anything. So I would say that atheists are more scared than angry. I think that'd be a better question. Why are atheists scared? But for those that are angry, why are they angry? Well, Dave, you want to go into that? Why are some atheists angry, supposedly?
Well, honestly, a lot of the reasons that you just gave. Like, personally, I'm angry because people have to be scared. I'm angry that people have to walk down the street as if they're, I hate to bring it right to it, that they're some kind of hated minority. Obviously, atheists are a minority, a pretty significant minority. I think technically people that identify as atheist are only like 2-3%. Yeah.
Wow.
In a country of many, many million.
I think how many millions we are.
It's just terrifying because this is such a minute idea. Like, if you asked like a run-of-the-mill scientist person, just as an example, you're more than likely going to find out that they're an atheist. But they don't care, really. It's such a small part of the person's life. I will revel the day when this club doesn't have to exist.
Well, it still exists because we're free thought.
No, I mean, like, this club is created so people at Drexel University, a university in Pennsylvania, like a fairly, I wouldn't really say liberal, but we're not like a super conservative state.
Yeah.
But it's like, there's a minority of atheists even here. And you would expect in a university level setting there would be so many more. And chances are there are. But once again, we have to hide. Because if somebody comes out and says, or doesn't even come out and say, but by happenstance you find it's revealed, I guess, that somebody is an atheist, then they're demonized, or their ethics are questioned, or their morals are questioned, or their motives of any kind are questioned. But more often than not, for an average atheist, being an atheist is an incredibly minute part of their life.
I would agree.
It's why it's so distressing.
It is.
Because it's just kind of like, why is everyone focusing on this one thing?
Why is it a big deal?
It's like, I also don't believe in fairies. You want to go into that for a while?
And I can't really think of too many people who believe in fairies. But, should we really scorn somebody for believing in fairies? I mean, sure, we may think it's very silly. There's no evidence for fairies, but I'm not going to mercilessly bully a person who believes in fairies, or tell him that his morality, his, as Steve Harvey would say, moral barometer is not existent. I'm not going to do that. I see nothing wrong with.
Why would they choose a barometer?
I don't know why he chose that.
That's like it's the most passive
moral.
Like
air
compass
pressure
would make sense.
Well,
you're going in a barometer passively tells you the current air pressure.
I don't know. And for those of you who don't believe me, yes, Steve Harvey did say moral barometer. Just type in Steve Harvey atheist in YouTube and you'll see this. A lot of people don't know that side about him, how vehement he is against atheism. Really bad.
It's like, so is what's his name? All those jokes are about him.
Wow, there's a lot of people.
I can roundhouse kick the moon.
Chuck Norris.
Yes, thank you. Chuck Norris is a hardcore fundamentalist.
Yeah, he is. Big time. I mean, I've never really heard him say anything horrible about atheists, but he definitely...
Look it up.
Oh, he has?
Yeah.
Wow, there he goes. Yes.
I think one of the big things is gay stuff.
Oh, he's really
not that he is gay, but he doesn't fancy them.
Oh, okay, for lack of a better term.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, Mr. Norris, but this is what I thought I saw.
I think it would be good to have a conversation with him. But in any case, but again, yeah, I think a lot of these. I mean, that's a great reason to be angry if you're an atheist. Is that the fact that your fellow atheists are scared to death? I mean, in some countries, if you're an atheist, you will be killed. That's just horrible. I mean, think about it. You're gonna take a human life that is just as capable of doing good for anyone in any society. You're gonna kill them because they don't believe in something that is not supported. That, to me, that just doesn't make sense. That's just like killing somebody.
It's like even that. It's like it's saying it's like, we're going to murder you, end your life, because you don't happen to believe what the collective believes.
Yeah, the hive mentality. There's a really big hive mentality behind religion, and I'm sorry that offends anybody. Actually, I'm not sorry, because it really is a hive mentality. There's this standard here that you have to, this dogmatic standard that you have to follow, and if you don't follow it, you are wrong. But almost and people, and that's funny because even religious people are scared. They're scared to question whatever holy text says, or whatever this guy, this bishop, or this pope, or whoever's in charge says. They're scared to death of challenging them because they're going to be excommunicated from whatever group they're in, and it really should not be that way. I mean, free thought is one of the main things that allows not just atheism, but free thought period is what allows this country to thrive. What allows a lot of societies to thrive. And when we just keep kicking it to the curb and stabbing it and throwing it away,
the reason we're not thriving as much as we used to is because of that. The transparency in our government disappeared, and religion is allowed to run amok.
Yeah, it seems to attach itself to a lot of things. I mean, especially with the whole morality thing. I've been asked a few times, where does my morality come from? It's like, you don't believe in God. Well, where do you get your morals from? I was like, well, first off, I get some of what. Let's put it this way: I have the innate ability to do good. And good, yes, I understand good is subjective, but I'm pretty sure that everybody, like a lot of people, have a general consensus of what good is. Helping out a homeless person, rescuing an animal, taking care of your children, not killing somebody, things like that. There's a common consensus of what good is.
So yes, Dante, you got to restrict those murderous urges you have.
Yeah, pretty much. But people ask me where I get them from. I was like, well, first I have this innate ability to have some sort of a humanist, altruistic behavior towards my fellow human beings. So I do possess that ability. Secondly, there's also a bit of the environment, how I'm raised, who raises me. So there's different factors that fill into how I behave morally. I just don't get my morals from the Bible or the Quran or any kind of holy text.
One thing I do have to interrupt with is if this actually hasn't been asked to me before, curiously enough.
Where your morals come from?
Yeah, no one's actually asked me right out. And if someone ever did, I would just tell them the same place you do. Because one thing that I think you're passively doing is admitting that people actually do get their morals from, like, the Bible or the Quran. Nobody gets their morals from those books. Ever. First off, they're internally contradictory, so it's impossible. So one says murder, one says spare life. You can't do both at the same time. So, like, they don't. They pick and choose the things that they want to follow, or their society chooses they want to follow, and then it's forced on them from above, effectively. But it's like, there is nobody who follows any of those books to a T. They have their own innate sense of morals, and they have their own instructed sense of morals based on the society they live in. All those books do is justify it. So, like, once more, if somebody asked me where my morals come from, I would explain to them where everyone's morals come from, not just my own.
What would you tell them?
Effectively, the same thing you said. It's people have a tendency to avoid pain and seek pleasure. That's just a general human convention. Mm-hmm. Based off of that, a lot of things follow. I don't want to feel horrible pain all the time, so I'm not going to inflict other people with terrible pain because they might reciprocate, and that doesn't sound good to me.
Oh, I think that's a smart thing to do, right?
And the same thing goes in the reverse, is I want to live... It's a very naive sort of way of thinking about it, but I like it.
I think it's practical.
It's like, I want to live in a world where people treat each other nicely, clean up after themselves, don't murder each other. So I don't do any of those things. Because to live in that society, I am part of it, so I have to do that. Mm-hmm. And I hope others will reciprocate.
You have to be the change you want to see.
Yeah, I love that line. Be the change you want to see in the world.
Be the change. I definitely support that.
But that's the thing, though, is that not once will somebody actually, like, if anyone ever, just internet people, just to tell you, if anyone says that their morals come from any religious book, just destroy that notion immediately. Because it's just a lie. And it's a lie that's been perpetuated for centuries. All that they're saying when they say that is, I follow the rules my parents and my pastor taught me, and they said it came from the book.
That's a good way of putting it. You have to consider that. Here's a good way to think about it. Humans came before this book. Someone created that book. Someone had their own sense of morality, whatever twisted world they got that from. Decided to place it in the book. You know, maybe it was a group of people, maybe it was one guy, I'm not sure. But they put it in the book, and then they shared it with other people. People seemed to like it for some reason. People put their own twists and turns on it. That's why there are 33,000 denominations of Christianity. And how many sects in Islam? I don't remember, but there's a lot.
There's a number of them.
There's a lot, yeah. So, I mean, and my question to those guys, you know, if you're a Protestant or a Catholic or any of those, why aren't you these other sects? You're a Christian. Why can't you just be a Christian? Why are you these other things?
There's a fantastic joke that goes along with this, and it's just kind of like, it's like, well, a random person meets another on the street and just says, "Oh, how are you?" It's like, "Oh, it's such a nice day," and then they're just walking along, standing on a bridge, and then the guy's just like, "Oh, so what religion are you?" It's like, "Oh, Christian." "Oh, you're Christian? I'm Christian too." Catholic or Protestant? Protestant. Me too. Reform or Reform or old school? It's like, Reform. Really? Me too. Oh, so are you Reform 1987 or Reform 1832? And he's like, 1832. Die, you godless heathen.
Yes.
That's the reason that there's so many denominations, is every single one of them is absolutely convinced that theirs is right.
And that's the scary part, because you have to figure out who's right. And maybe, you know what, and that kind of goes into why atheists are angry. Actually, again, I kind of want to destroy this notion of angry atheists. I want to say more frustrated or confused. Because like we ask these questions and we get all of these different answers. Like for example, right around, you know, at one time I was it Protestant? Yeah. No, Baptist. It was Baptist. I was raised by a mostly Baptist family who wasn't really too religious. Like they didn't really drill God into my head, but I still believed him at one time. But right around the time I started not believing, one day I decided to ask a question online on an online forum, and I was like, so what about the dinosaurs in reference to the Bible? And I've gotten a variety. When I say a variety, I mean I've had like all kinds of answers. I've gotten everything from, Satan created the fossils to, create skepticism against God. I've had things where dinosaurs didn't exist. Somebody mentioned dragons, and dragons are in the Bible, by the way. Somebody mentioned Behemoth and Leviathan. Somebody brought up the whole cedar tail tree, not even a theory, a weak hypothesis. And our other atheist is in here. Sorry, that wasn't one of the answers. How you doing, Richard?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. We'll segue you in a second. I've gotten a plethora of answers, and that right there just increased my skepticism even more. And it frustrated me because, again, I did not get a direct answer. It was like all these guys are Christians, but they gave me like 6 or 7 different answers. And it doesn't make any sense.
You'd think a perfect God would be able to translate his word and do something the least bit comprehensive.
Well, then they use the excuse that we have to find the answer ourselves. God put it in the book. They'll say stuff like that, which frustrates us even more. It's like, wait, but I am looking at it, but you interpret it this way, you interpret it this way, you interpret it this way, but you're all Christians. How come you guys aren't debating this amongst yourselves? You're going against the atheists.
That's like, to be fair, as I do. They do debate it amongst themselves.
I usually don't see it too much.
It's like, no, but
I see it once, though.
No, that's the thing, though, is even if they do debate it amongst themselves, it doesn't really matter what the outcome is. Because I think we discussed this before, the idea of belief in belief. It's way more important that everyone respectfully allows everyone else to continue with their batshit and crazy ideas. Forgive my language.
Guano.
Because effectively, it's like Richard believes in crazy thing S, I believe in crazy thing M, and therefore we'll just both believe in our crazy things and not question each other's crazy things, because if you start questioning them, they might actually fall apart. So there's a big thing among religious groups about just maintaining the status quo of belief in things without evidence is a good thing and we should keep on it.
You know, before I let you start, actually, you do make a good point, because I've heard of a thing, especially in Philadelphia, quote-unquote church rivalries. I don't hear about them too much, but once in a while, because I peek on Facebook, and like I said before, Facebook is my sociological lab. Sometimes I'll watch somebody comment about their church and then say something about another. It's like, yeah, that other church, they said this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. And it's usually referring, well, most of the times they're talking about each other's clothes, especially the women. I don't know. Women like to say, oh, yeah, she dressed too slutty for church or stuff like that. But then once in a while, you'll see something like the way they teach God, like, he's a bad pastor or he's not a good, reverend or whatever. And it's just like, what constitutes a good or bad one if you guys are just reading from a script already? If
it doesn't go in line with your own personal beliefs, that means it's bad.
Pretty much. But Richard, just in case you didn't know, we're doing persecution of atheists. Why are atheists angry? Which I turned that around and asked, why are atheists confused and frustrated?
I'll get back into why we're angry.
Yeah. So if you want to touch on the anger, that's fine. But any of those things I just mentioned.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say that I really haven't met a lot of people that were Christian that were against me in some way, which I guess I'm lucky that way, but
you're lucky.
Although I am sort of angry sometimes, because most of the reason why they're not mad at me is because I say, I really don't care if you're a Christian, and I won't question their beliefs only if they attack me about it. And so far, no one has ever done that.
So that's good, though. It's a general mantra for the group is that we're reactionary.
Yeah.
Like we don't go knocking door to door like some other precious people we could mention. But we are reactionary. If someone calls into the group and wants to have a conversation, we'll have a conversation. Later on this term, we're going to have an atheist table where people will be able to come up to us and ask us whatever they want.
Us three.
It's like, so that's that. It's like, this is just something that we're going to do. But at the same time, just keep going, because I have a whole anger rant prepared.
Oh no!
Although it sort of
Rich.
makes me angry though, when other people say, "Oh, he posted this thing on Facebook," which actually did happen to me once. I was on Facebook and I posted up something about zombie Jesus.
Oh no!
And this one guy that was a belligerent fundamentalist Christian that actually tried to get me to become Christian, and every single time that he tried to get me to become Christian, I said, "I'm sorry, I really don't care what you are, respect your beliefs, and I won't question them to you, as long as if you don't attack me. I'm an atheist, and it's not gonna change." And he kept on trying to make me be a Christian, say, oh, look at all these videos going against evolution. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure none of these people actually know what evolution is. Even though back then I didn't even know what evolution was. So I said, I'm going to go to a scientist and figure out what they have to say instead of a person that's like all about Christianity. Because obviously they're not going to be for it. And I'd only get one point of view on an uneducated answer of why it's wrong. And why evolution is wrong. Also, it really makes me angry when people equate evolution with atheism, or equate science with atheism. At the same time, that makes me angry, not only because of the Christians that do that, but because of the newfound atheists that come into this atheist group and this atheist community that we made up a while back online on YouTube. Where people are just saying, "Oh, I'm an atheist," even though I sort of believe in God, but I'm angry at him, and that's what I get. And then you just get these angsty teens not wanting to question their beliefs, but saying, "I'm just gonna put it aside, not because I have anything wrong with it, just because I want to get angry at my parents." And then they say, "I'm a science believer." They believe in science, which I'm like, okay, how do you believe in science? How does one believe in science? Well, this, and this is true. And I'm like, okay, why is it true? And they're like, well, and I'm like, did you look into it? It's very interesting. You should look into it. And they said, no, but atheism is right and science is right. And they're all dogmatic about science and atheism. And I'm like, you understand that atheism is not a dogma, it's not a religion, and you understand that science, even though sometimes it can be viewed as a dogma, which it really shouldn't. It shouldn't be viewed as a dogma. It should be... Science in itself is questioning itself all the time. And I'm trying to get that across to certain atheists, quote-unquote, that call themselves atheists, but they're not really, and they're just calling themselves atheists to get back at their parents.
It's the popular atheists that annoy me the most. But go ahead, Dave. I want you to go into
well, okay. Nicely said, Richard. We can have a whole different podcast about the current state of the atheist community. But those folks, I don't know, they're teenagers. I think it's fine. I just kind of urge them to
find their way,
to have better reasons. But we all went through transition periods.
That is true.
So let's give the young people some slack.
Just give them guidance. That's what just give them guidance.
Pretty much.
Well, we have this YOLO mentality that comes out.
Oh gosh, we can.
Did that die yet?
No, some people still do it.
And YOLO means you only live once, which is like by the atheist standard, but dumbing it down drastically. You only live once, so let's do stupid things instead of understanding the beauty around us.
One girl flat out says she won't date anybody if they don't believe in YOLO.
Honestly, that sounds way more religious than atheistic.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's stupid, but Go ahead
Which,
with your
then again,
angry rant.
you can't really have you can't really have anything that is atheistic. That adjective doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's just an answer.
Unless you
It's
have like
just
a
pretending to
blank
be it.
you have like a blank pedestal. It's like there's nothing there. It's atheistic. Anyway,
Well, it's something that we made.
all right. So time for David.
Oh boy, here we go.
Okay, so we've gone around the table and just like there's confusion, frustration, there's accommodation / just not wanting to rock the boat sort of thing. I'm just pissed. And I have a right to be.
Why?
Atheists in this country are the most detested minority that exist. There's been like
Bronies.
Okay, so I have this list of a fairly recent Pew report. It says that 63% of the country would not vote for somebody who does not believe in a god. 63%. 46% it says homosexual, or 46% say Muslim, or no college education. The number one criteria of being unelectable is not believing in a god. That makes me angry. What makes me far more angry is what the religious actually do. And I'm not saying that everyone does, but honestly, if you want to adhere to a group, you gotta roll with the problems of that group. A few of which is the incredible retardant to science, the incredible latching repressive nature on children and their education and their sexual education and women's sexual health, the rights of homosexuals, originally the rights of colored folk. I don't care. People that weren't white and upper class. The rights of the poor, the rights of the poor and homeless, and the rights of the middle class. A lot of these things are directly retardant of people that are religious, people that think this country should end, people that think that this world should end, people that think that the greatest ideal you can possibly have is by killing yourself for your religion, and killing people that don't believe in your religion for your religion. I think these are just a few of the extremely good reasons that non-religious people, religious people, and anyone who doesn't give a damn should be very, very angry.
Well, actually, I'd like to say something on top of that, and I know that both of you know that I watch Alex Jones.
I don't. I don't even know who Alex Jones is.
Okay. Alex Jones is a conspiracy theorist.
Oh, okay.
I like his stuff, and I like what he says, and I research it on my own to see if it's right or not. But at the same time, I really hate it that he uses his religion as a pedestal to get other people to... Even though what he is saying about the politics and stuff is true, if you research it, he uses that on top of his Christianity to get atheists and other non-believers of Christianity to believe in Christianity, because he relates everything with the evil government with his religion, and he says that these people are devils and demons, and if you don't believe in God, then you're going to go with them. And that makes me pissed. And I don't... Not only him, but everybody does that. Everybody does that with their own little religion. I mean, you can speak to the mild... You can speak to the most mild person. That's the most mild religious person. And if you bring up anything about their religion, they'll say, oh, well, how can you not believe in God? And then automatically it's a bad thing just because you don't believe in God. I'll respect your beliefs, I'll say it's fine, and I won't talk about it. But if you're going to say that, that's just going to piss me off.
You know, here's my thing as far as being questioned. I do not mind being questioned. It's the reasoning behind the questioning. It's the mindset that is already that is already there when you question me. If you question me, for being an atheist, because you are mostly inquisitive about my lifestyle, my personal beliefs, because, atheism is just only one teeny tiny concept of a person's life. Everything else just happens to be a personal thing. Because atheism is only an answer to one question. Do you believe in God? No. Okay, atheist. So if they're just curious as to why I don't believe in God, I have no problem with that. But if you already have the mindset that I am just a dirty, disgusting, evil, conniving, sneaky, bottom-feeding, bottom of the earth, need to go away and sent to hell kind of person because I don't believe in God, and you question me then because you're just trying to be condescending, then I have a problem with it. And I can kind of sense when someone is being sincere in their questioning, in their inquisitive nature, or whether they are just looking for a bone to chew on.
What I mean by that is that when people ask me that, I mean, I don't have a problem usually, but most of the time they do use it in a accusatory sense.
Yeah, they already have
like,
the mindset.
You don't believe in God?
Why not? Yeah, like I've had several people ask, well, how come you don't believe in God? And they were very nice about it. They was like, you believe in God? I'm like, no. How come you don't believe in God? Well, X, Y, Z, blah, blah. And they'll usually go around like, interesting. And they probably don't, agree with me at all.
And that's
fine.
But
they were just like, yeah.
No, I'm great. I would.
And that's fine.
All right, let me make this very clear. If all religious people acted like that, then I would. This club wouldn't exist. I'd have a lot more free time.
So we have to thank David for organizing this thing. So thanks once again, David.
It's fine.
Thank you. But a reason why this club does exist, why these quote unquote atheist groups exist, which they shouldn't, is because you do have those people that go, do you believe in God? No, I don't believe in God. Why not? How come you don't believe in God? What's wrong with you? Where's your moral barometer? Where's your moral compass? Blah, blah, blah. You're a disgusting person. You need to get out of my country.
Or in 7 different states. Oh, you don't believe in God? You can't hold office.
Yeah, things like that. For one teeny tiny concept that should be insignificant in the workings of this country.
Just pretend you believe in God for like a certain amount of time and
No,
I don't believe in God. I fooled you all.
You would actually get arrested.
Oh wow. That's so stupid.
I think it would be a stupid.
What if you're changed your mind? What if you're like,
then you'll be disbarred, whatever it means when you lose office.
Wow.
What does it mean? Impeached.
Impeached.
That's really terrible. Like, what if a Christian all of a sudden says, "I'm Muslim now," but he's president? It's just ridiculous, and it's stuff like that make some of these atheists angry, frustrated, and confused.
Sure, you're not allowed to be an atheist in office in some states, but you're allowed to put drone strikes on people all the time you want it. It's fine.
But that's another story.
Yeah,
especially when it comes to children, child atheists. You have parents who, either raised. I'm not going to say they raised their children to be atheists. I'm going to say they did not raise their children to be religious. There's a slight difference. Saying that these are atheist things and you must learn this, which is nonsensical, or just not teaching your child any kind of religion. You're not teaching them to be atheists. You're just like,
right.
oh.
If a child doesn't have any outside influence to make them religious, then they'll become an atheist or make up their own religion.
Yeah.
Like, that's just is what's going to happen. Like, every child, I hate to tell you, internet people and various imams and pastors I've talked to.
Yeah, I remember this conversation.
But every baby is born an atheist. Religion has to either be created in their head or be imposed on them. I'm one of those people. I created a religion. I thought it was hilarious. And then I stopped because it didn't exist.
Well, at least you had no evidence.
No, I made a religion because I thought it would be fun. It's like, I have some free time. Why not?
What was your deity, just to be slightly off topic?
The religion was called Ascensions.
Okay.
And we worshipped the, 4 prime essences of existence. It was like, what was it? Fate? It was like fate, luck, death, and I think the universe.
Oh.
I created my own religion a while ago, but I was an atheist then. I was just doing it for fun.
Oh, kind of like the invisible pink unicorn, the flying spaghetti monster, Russell's teapot.
Yeah, but it was so messed up.
It
was called it was called the Tree of Life after the Tree of Life in the Bible, but it was literally a tree.
You mean Yggdrasil?
What's that?
You mean Yggdrasil?
What's that?
The Norse Tree of Life. The one that came before the God one.
I don't know.
Tree sounds awesome.
No, it's like a random tree in the middle of nowhere. I mean, like in the middle of the nether realm where you went when you died and your spirit went up to.
This sounds a lot like Yggdrasil.
and that the closer you were to it when you died, the happier you got. But
So if you lived in China and this tree was in Netherlands, you were screwed.
Oh wait, do your like actions in life get you closer to it?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that
But
makes
if
more
you
sense.
were
then.
too good, then what would happen is that
What's
you
too good?
I don't know. If you did every single thing by the book of my religion, the book of the Tree of Life, what would happen is that the Tree of Life will like see you as unworthy and basically absorb you, and you'll be so happy that you die, and then you become nothing.
The heck? Wow.
It's not the strangest thing that I've heard.
I mean, it's not either, but it's.
I've heard of Mormons.
Yeah. We're not going to touch it.
I've heard of Catholics.
The thing that a lot of us have to realize about religion is that anyone can create. Just like David said, when you become a child and you have
When you become a child.
when you become a child, you might get Shrek or something.
Child.
When you are a child, thank you. When you are a child, you are prone to setting up your own belief systems. You know, you may believe in, you know, the ectoplasmic teddy bear that lives in your sheets, you know, and you know this which is akin to an invisible friend. I'm sorry if I offended you. Actually, I'm not sorry, but you know, the invisible friend thing is somewhat
I had an imaginary friend. I think it's like every kid for like a year or so during their developmental periods, they develop an imaginary friend.
Yeah, I've had one.
I never had one.
He was very short-lived,
just
though.
kidding.
He was very short-lived, but you know,
I think it's the idea of being able to understand the mind of others is weird for little kids. So they kind of like I forget the whole psychology behind it.
Yeah, they kind of create their own little world and stuff.
Their brain is still developing, so they're just like imaginary friend. Let's do it.
So let's presume that, you know, this child with this imaginary friend, the imaginary friend talks to the child. You know, this is all in his head or her head, and tells them to do these different things. And the parents don't stop it at all. You know, the invisible friend tells them that, hey, you know, pushing chairs in this way is wrong, and reading books this way is wrong, and this is correct, and you know, all these kind of random things. And then they spread it to other people, and other people support these ideas, and so on and so forth. Well, bada bing, you have yourself a religion. You have this person and a bunch of other people following this doctrine based on this deity here. And if it becomes popular and it spreads, well, there you have your religion. And somehow it goes up into the government and latches on. I mean, pretty much Christianity's done it. Islam has done it. Plenty of religions have done it, have latched on to morality, have latched on to law. They've latched on to a whole bunch of things. It can happen. I mean, it's very rare because the religions that we have now are so integrated with our culture that there's pretty much not any room for any ectoplasmic teddy bear or the fugla.
It's so integrated that even, it's gotten to a point where if you question it, you're an asshole. I mean, sorry. A.
Well, yeah.
Word.
You're an A word.
Yes.
No, but it's true. And that's what's annoying, is that religion has found a way to co-opt things that people already have and have had forever. Like Dante said earlier, it's like before the current religions that have all the power existed, we had morals. That's one of the most insulting things that I think imaginable, that all the Jews in Sinai walked for 40 years before they got to the mountain thinking that murder and rape were just dandy.
As long as if your God says
how would you possibly survive if you thought like, oh, I'm hungry, jam fist through comrade, pull out heart and munch on it?
Well, I mean, I think that religion in itself is highly individualistic and selfish at the same time, which I guess a lot of people would say individualism is selfish, which it kind of is, but it's to the point where you just... it's individualism to the point where you don't even regard other people's individual bodies. It's to a point where you're like, my God in your brain. Like, everybody has a God that they make up that's in their brain that
parallels their
says,
ideas.
You're okay now since you said that you did this wrong and you forgave yourself to me, which is actually a manifestation of a Godhead in your brain. So, therefore, it's okay if you do something wrong. But if somebody else does something wrong, they might think they're being forgiven, but in fact, they're not really. And that's pretty funny, because when I was a Christian, I remember going through a really bad time in my life where I thought that everything was my fault, even though not everything was my fault. And I've gotten to a point where in my head, since I'm saying the Godhead is within somebody's brain, in my head, I always thought that the pastor was going to say, he's forgiven you all except for Richard. Because that's how that's how messed up I was in my head right then. And I think that's what happens with most people. If they have a good ego, their God is going to forgive them.
The problem, though, is that we'll get I want a lot of the next part of the show to be like children and all that stuff. But just this one bit, it's like you're taught that the only way that you can be forgiven from something that doesn't exist is with the ideas that someone has imposed on you. So, like, although although eventually it just turns into yourself forgiving yourself, there are a lot of people, especially Catholics, that live with unending guilt.
Because it's proposed by them by other people and the church that they live in, the society, their family members, their friends, and
their entire lives they've been told that they're unworthy. And
so they're trying to always please somebody else in order to get forgiven from themselves. Is that what you're saying?
They've lost their ability to forgive themselves.
It's very internal.
Because they only can get it from the outside.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
Welcome to religion.
No pun intended.
And
I hate religion now.
I
really hate religion.
You wonder why I'm angry.
Oh my God.
And I might be stereotyping a little bit, but almost every atheist I've ever met, this is just a personal anecdote here. Almost every atheist I've met has been a lot more confident, in themselves, in their lives, in just walking through life than most Christians that I've met. Most Christians that I see, that I've met, they get their confidence because they believe that God is by their side. That selfishness you were talking about. It's like, yeah, I'm going to do this because God is by my side. But you have to remember that the Christian next to you, the Christian over here, and the Christian over here believes the exact same thing. But they make conflict with
God can be everywhere.
Well, yeah, that's right. But whenever I see an atheist and they're confident about what they're doing, they're confident in their studies, they're confident in making money, all this other things, it seems like it just stems from themselves and their support system by their family and friends, and not from some outside interference of
every time I see that, I would say that the religious people are saying exactly the same thing. The only reason they're confident in themselves is because they're community in themselves. The problem is, it's based on a lie.
And it's co-opted by this
It's kind of like saying
this parasite deity.
It's like saying all of my confidence comes from
somebody else.
No, it's like a blanket made of sunshine and spider webs or something that is draped over me at birth, and it stays with me my entire life. That's where my confidence comes from. I'm raised my entire life to think that that's where all of my power and confidence comes from. And then somebody questions that you don't actually have a blanket around you.
So it's like that one parable, actually. The one with the guy with the really long hair and he was really strong. Samson. That all of his power came from his hair.
Well, all of his power literally did come from his hair.
Yeah. And they cut his hair off, and therefore he collapsed the building or something. That's basically what it is. That's basically what religion is.
That might not be an adequate parable, because his hair literally gave him his power.
Well, maybe that's
My
what religion is trying to tell you.
So it's an
like,
allegory?
my magic blanket doesn't actually exist.
No, I know, but
So it's an allegory?
Guys,
really
we have
exist
15
either.
seconds left. I want to tell everyone that at the end of the show, at 6:30, we will reconvene, and it'll be our chat section. Please call us, email us, get on our Skype. Goodbye.